Hello and welcome to another episode of the Type Tools podcast. I'm JC and we're here with the expert Scott. And today we're doing part 2 of the cognitive loops episode. So last episode we went over generalities, what a cognitive loop is and generally how to get out of them. But today we're actually going to go through all 16 types, what their cognitive loop looks like, and specifically how to get out of it for that type. As always, we have the link to the worksheet down below. We're going to be talking a lot about cognitive functions, so you can follow along down there.
Yeah, and just to run down what those are, so in short order, I'll just run through the 16. So with INTP, your loop is thinking a lot and being comfy. So how you get out of that is taking risks and trying new things with extrovert intuition. And that doesn't necessarily need to be physical. It can just be taking a novel approach, like redirecting your thinking in a like if you're a staunch Christian, just pivoting it to like why is Christianity true instead of just assuming it's true. Or if you're an atheist, you could say, what if I'm wrong? Like that what if, adding the what if to it lets you search it from a different angle. And then, so extrovert intuition is about possibility generation and trying new things. So again, it's just, so trying a new thing will break the loop. And then extroverted feeling, talk to somebody, talk to somebody. And if you schedule that, all the better. And then you have INTJ, so that's NI and FI. So that can be like I idealized futures or terrible futures that cannot be circumvented. And the way you can do that is taking action and getting results in reality, like actually doing the thing, right? Because the INTJs will get perfectionistic and they won't try something because if I'm going to do it poorly, I'm not going to do it at all. And so, you're allowed to do things poorly and you're allowed to garner feedback from other people. So get feedback and take action. And then with the ENTP, with extrovert intuition, leading. So it's, well, what about this? And 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 I could do this and I could try this. And the energy intellectually kind of feels the same way that I'm expressing it verbally now. And then extroverted feeling is like, am I liked? Am I acceptable? And am I wanted? Am I liked? Am I acceptable? Am I wanted? And so take some time to align yourself with honesty. So do you need to say difficult things to people? Do you need to be a little more staunch in your intellectual positions? Do you need to figure out things? Do you need to tell the truth more? And then also, do you need to ground yourself? Do you need to make sure you're eating right? Do you need to make sure you're exercising? Are you checking in with introverted sensing? Are you grounding yourself? And then ENTJ, we went through ENTJ pretty well. But again, that's extroverted thinking paired with extroverted sensing. So get aligned with the future that you want or the future that you don't want. And that way you can avoid it. And then figure out what you value. And this super hyper efficient do go machine, is it making the world better? Are you making the world better? Are you generating values that enrich your life and make you feel good? And so checking in with those is important and not just working 80-hour weeks. All right. And then we have INFJ, and that's NI and TI. So maybe we should just do like little chapter things so people don't have to listen to everybody else's type. But yeah, so INFJ, that's NITI. So what I think and how it projects into the future, and the world's terrible and bad, and there's no way out. And I'm a terrible person, I'm pretty sure. And, I do think this, but people don't like it, so I can't say it. And that's kind of what the NIFE loop looks, or sorry, the NITI loop looks like. And so the solution is checking in with your tribe. How do these ideas that I came up with make you feel? How do you feel about these thoughts and projections that I have? So checking in with other people in a social way. And then getting out in real life and doing things, going on trips, going to events, just absorbing the world and trying new things. And then you have the INFP, and the INFP is FI and SI. So How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel about this? Do I like this? Do I dislike this? That's bad. This is good. Making these judgments based upon values, and then making sure that you're comfy and cozy all the time. I'm comfy and cozy, and I like this, and that's bad, and this is good. I'm morally outraged, and that's kind of the flow that it'll take. So explore positions. Maybe the thing that you thought was good isn't good. And how would you know that? You'd have to check in with other people. You'd have to ask yourself if, in fact, the moral determination that you arrived at is, in fact, good. Question it. And the way you can question it is garnering feedback from the tribe. What do they think? What do they think about this morality? And not just shutting them out because they disagree, being able to engage in this space of listening to what other people have to say about the ideological conclusions that you've determined for yourself. So letting that wobble a bit, especially if it's destroying your life, especially if it's making you feel miserable all the time. Check in with other people. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is as terrible as you believe. Maybe it isn't. And so checking in with other people about your worldview and trying new things, thinking differently, reading books, that sort of thing, getting other people's ideas. Then we have the ENFP, NETE, and that's ideation. Completion, not important. Not important. Ideate freedom and just constantly taking in new perspectives and ideas, just absorbing yourself with perspectives and ideas with extroverted thinking, making money. And then the way you'd break out of that is with FI and SI. So check in with meaning, check in with what is true to you. Are you aligned with your values? Are you being good according to you, according to your own standards? You might have a standard that you're not meeting. Are you meeting your own standards? And then introverted sensing is taking care of your body. Like your body is more than just a tool for pleasure and exploration. It's also something that needs to be maintained and taken care of. So taking care of your body and, establishing routines, even though it feels awful to establish routines, maybe just have one routine, and then you'll figure out that routine, and then you'll have a routine, and that will stabilize you and it'll ground you. And then we have ENFJ. So ENFJ, that's FE and SE. So we talked about ENFJs a little bit. So that's people pleasing and action, people pleasing and action. And the way you break through that loop is telling the truth, telling the difficult truth that you've kept quiet about that people need to know. People need to know it, but it would make them feel bad. So let's not say it. And after a while, you dissolve your identity. And that's something you want to avoid, especially long term. So learning how to tell the truth with kindness, I suppose. Or sometimes kindness is telling the truth would be another way to look at it. And then making sure that you know and understand what you want, or again, like what we were saying, is what do you not want? What would you like to avoid? What's a potential future that you could envision for yourself that you would not want to have? And then how can you take steps in action to avoid it? So taking some inward time to dedicate to growing your mind and having a position on things that could ruffle feathers, and that's okay. All right, so now we're getting into the S's. So we have, yeah, this is a lot. So if you guys have tuned out, I'm sorry, but I feel like this is a situation where timestamps would be really good. So we have ISTJ, and that's SI and FI, and that's about tradition. That's what's always happened in the past, and this is how I felt about it. And the future can't change. I don't know what the future is going to be, but it's very likely going to be just like my past. And my past was difficult, and my future, I have no idea what it'll be, but it'll probably be just like my past. And so it's this holding on to the past, and it's holding on to making sure I'm comfortable in a less weird way than the INFP and INTP. They kind of do it in this childish way. SI hero in the dominant function looks a little different. It's more about cherishing and clinging on to past traditions and then not thinking that any of that could ever change. because the future is dangerous, frightening, and it's difficult to prepare for, and we don't like that. And so we're just going to buckle down and we're going to handle it. But at a certain point, your life will be better if you stop doing that and you check in with other people. You find out what ideas they have, what perspectives they have. You might read a couple books about topics that you're unfamiliar with or you have interest in. You just gain feedback from the tribe outside of you because they might have an idea that can make your future better. And if they did, it would be better and it wouldn't be just like your past. And that might be good. And then extrovert intuition is kind of what I'm talking about that might be or could be, and just exploring small variations to your schedule, small variations, engaging in philosophy, trying to move your mind in new ways. And that could look like, a book club or a Bible study or a political convention, all these places where ideas combine and then they're shared in unique and different ways. So all of those things can help break the loop for an ISTJ. Then we have ESTJ. It's similar to the ENTJ, but not quite the same. ESTJs are about kind of delivering an experience that other people find valuable and reliable, and they're trying to be consistent. It's more about being reliable than delivering the experience. It's more about being efficient than making something aesthetically beautiful because again they're SI, so they're more concerned with their own physical experience. And so with ESTJs, they can become cruel and indifferent if they don't develop FI and they don't develop extroverted intuition, or sorry, if they don't develop FI and introverted sensing. So mooring themselves to traditions and reminding themselves that it's not all about efficiency, it's also about loyalty and appreciating the past. And then down at FI, it's what do you love and what traditions are worth preserving? And how can you use your action-oriented accommodating style to preserve them and help them to continue? And so just attuning yourself with your history and your own values will enrich your dynamic problem-solving approach to life and the stability that it can provide to the people that you care about. Then we have ISTP, and ISTP is introverted thinking and introverted intuition. So it's similar to the loop that the INFJ experiences, but it's a lot more logical. It's a lot less out there. The future is more bounded because it's introverted intuition child. And so the way that they get out of that loop of like I would say melancholy or like stoic sort of soldier type feeling, which is stoic and the future will be what it's going to be and I'm just going to handle it, and it's this sort of stony approach to life, capable but stony. And the way you get out of that is by teaching other people new things. So with extroverted sensing, giving other people an experience, fixing their car, connecting with people in a way that you can give. So again, a lot of times they'll end up going to people's houses, like cutting down trees, cleaning their yards. They're connecting with others in the domain of giving an experience. And that works very well. And also it can help making people better, making people teaching them skills, because ISTPs have a lot of skills that they develop over time, usually physical. They can spend time with the person teaching them that skill, and that way it can be passed down and shared with other people instead of just you being a high performer. Now you're sharing that gift with other people. And then you have ESTP, so that's SE and TI. So experience, and then it's FE. I said SE and TI, but it's SE and FE. And that's like please other people, make them happy with physical experiences. So be the cool person. Don't worry about whether it's true. Don't use your logic. Just give physical experiences and make people happy. Give people a physical experience, make them happy. And then at the end, and this is actually, I would say, the core for the ESTP is what do you want your future to look like? What do you want your future to look like? And, or again, like we were saying, what would you not want your future to look like? And now you can put all this performance into building a beautiful future for yourself, right? So you're not out to dry at the end of it all. So giving your performance and capability to people who value you and appreciate you, and then moving those things towards a future path for you. And that's kind of, I would say, a good distillation for what an ESTP could get out of breaking their cognitive loop. And then we have ISFJ, so that's SI and TI. It's preservation of the past. So it's similar to the ISTJ, except it's more thinking. It's more about like what they think about things. So one, checking in with the tribe to see if the thought conclusions that they've made harm people around them emotionally, checking in to see if they're preserving values that are good and worthy, and then just socializing with people and checking in with them, and not just turning yourself into a machine that preserves what is. So what choosing which social traditions to bring forth and manifest in your life, maybe a Christmas tradition, Thanksgiving, how should that experience be experienced? And then finding out, okay, you like this and you like this and you like this, okay, let's include that in this experience so it's good for everyone. And that way, what we're preserving is harmony in this thriving way. And figuring out which ones those are requires, you might have to have an open mind and a less rigid hold on all the things you've done in the past. Like if you put different ornaments on the Christmas tree this year, that might be okay, especially if, you know, Grandma Sue comes by and she really likes bright, weird looking lights. We can put some weird lights on the Christmas tree this year. That's okay. And just modifying the traditions to include other people so that you can have a more mutually shared social experience that you can then preserve over time. ESFJ, and that's extroverted feeling and extroverted intuitions. Again, it's kind of similar to the ISFJ, but it's a little different. So what happens with the ESFJs, they get so entrenched in the social norms of the people that they're around that they lose their own identity and they don't know who they are outside of the friend group that they're in. They're essentially, that's who they are, is their social group. And so as a result, since there's such a high priority placed on the socialization, they have to figure out how to be more honest with people in ways that, again and again, so that's how this TI pushes back on FE. FE says the most important thing is to have harmonious exchanges. The most important thing is to maintain social harmony. So if that's what matters most, saying hard truths is bad, because if it upsets people, don't do it. And sometimes the truth can be really healthy and good, but it can be upsetting. And so for ESFJs, learning how to tell the truth, even if it's going to make somebody feel bad, it means their future will be better. It means their future will be better. And extrovert, intuitive ESFJs care about the future of other people. So their future will be better if you're more honest. So try to work on that introverted thinking. And then introverted sensing is remember your past, remember the things that were good. Again, it's similar to the ISFJ, but just it's not quite the same. And just trying to integrate past traditions into your social group. I kind of wish these weren't right next to each other because it kind of feels like I'm saying the same thing, but they are different. I feel like the ESFJ is more likely to have that personal identity crisis about who am I and why am I a doormat all the time? Why can't I just tell the truth? And it's because extroverted feeling is so much more valued than introverted thinking. So learning how to take a stand on moral issues that are important to you, or if they're not necessary, or at the very least important to the people that you love and care about. And then you can take a stand and you can hold firm. You don't have to do it all the time, but if you never do it, you'll lose yourself and you won't know who you are outside of being agreeable. And then we have ISFP, and that's introverted feeling with NI, so that's their loop. And the way that looks is it's actually kind of hard to put to words. I have some friends and family that are this type, and well, no, it is kind of like the INTJ one, but it's more in the moment. It's not for, it is forever, but it's like a shorter forever. So they'll do this thing where they'll ruminate and get their dark feelings, and they'll be like, it is right and good to feel everything. And I will just feel all of this dark, and that is my identity, and that's who I am, and that's where I'm going to stay. And I'm probably going to stay there because it's not obvious that any action that I take is going to move it or pivot it in any realistic way. So I'm just going to be the gloomy, emo, dark ISFP. And then what can happen as they do the SE and T, obviously the TE is hard. It's at the bottom. Taking in other people's thoughts and opinions, if they don't think they're good, they're like, get out of here. Get out of here, opinion that I don't like. And so what that means is there might be important information that they're excluding that would really benefit them that they just don't like. And that's all there is to it. And so learning how to take feedback that you don't like would be an important place in order to get out of that dark spiral. And then giving people experiences. So my mom will, you know, tell people to go to this place that, makes glass flowers, or she'll send me an ornate emoji mosaic for my birthday with all these carefully chosen emojis that they look really cool. I know she spent a lot of time on them. That's extroverted sensing. It's giving people an experience. So taking all that emotion and channeling it into expression and making it real and making it visible. And that will break you out of the loop. And I know it can get really dark sometimes. And I've seen this take place with ISFPs. So it certainly can happen. And the way to do it is listen to the thoughts and opinions of others. You don't have to take them all in, but you can, especially, yeah. So push back a little bit on I don't like bad feedback and allow yourself to just listen. And reading books can be helpful, but in my experience, ISFPs aren't super into reading books, but you could, and it would probably be beneficial. And then last, we have ESFPs, and that's SE and FI. That's do go.
The hamster.
Yeah. So ESTPs are,
ESFPs.
well, no, but ESTPs do the same thing,
Ah,
but because it's SE at the top, the SC people are like doing going. I feel like ESFPs would probably be more hamster like, and that's not a, we're, what I'm saying is like, think about how short term and focused they are. So they're really physically capable, just like ESTPs. ESTPs are really physically capable. So are ESFPs. They create, they go. But again, the same with the ESTPs, they don't think about where all of this movement is taking them. They don't think about that. And so taking even 30 seconds could be enough to think about where are these choices leading me. 10 seconds, just any movement towards consideration of what are my actions that I'm taking right now moving me towards, like down the line. What are my actions building in terms of my future? And then constraining them to, again, which future would I like to avoid? Which future would I like to experience? And then also making sure you're attuned to your feelings and making sure that your physical acts of expression and orientation align with the goodness that you've learned and discovered, right? Because ESFPs know what's righteous and good. They figured it out. So just be sure that the actions that you're taking, like if you're punching someone that's doing something stupid, like think about what that will lead to down the line and pause to, and I'm not saying, ESFPs are, but certainly people that are highly physically capable can. Like a lot of these types, even if they wanted to be physically abusive, it would probably go really badly for them. But ESFPs, in my experience, are really good at sports and they're really capable, with their hands and doing things. So they're just able to do that. So yeah, so figure out a plan and purposely move to the future. And that could be journaling. That could be, and again, and so the disclaimer with all of these is your inferior function is going to feel terrible. Like you won't want to do it for everybody. No one's going to be like, this is the best. It won't feel easy or natural, but it will strengthen you and make you better. So yeah, just knowing what your functions are, knowing what you're prone to struggling with, and then understanding that there are ways to pull you out of that is really good. And so those are the 16 types. We did it. Holy, that was a lot.
All of those 16. So if you are interested in learning more about what your cognitive loops might be and how strategies to get out of them, like a personalized approach, you can always book a session with Scott at toolswithscott.com, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Yeah, thanks, guys.